Oh, hello. I'm Ludi Simpson. I've been asked to contribute to this year's Radical Statistics Conference. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person. So I joined RadStats 1977, 78, a few years after it had started, when the people involved were a few years older than me, and I looked up to them immensely, very wise they were, and still are, and I still do, for all of you who are there at this year's conference. And I remember, not so long after that, in 1990, well, that's 15 years after RadStats started, but already 35 years ago, goodness me, Kathy Marsh, another RadStats member, asked, is radical statistics anything more than a friendship club where people might make connections to advance their career? Well, I want to just use these couple of minutes to fight that notion and encourage you to do so too, quite consciously. Because the crises of climate and war and grotesque inequalities, whose irresolution create a crisis of government legitimacy, invite us to act. We do need, yes, a truthful, accurate perspective, which our statistical skills can help to shape, but we also need the skills of organisation, skills of supporting the resistance to current poverty of politics, supporting the movements that claim the better world that's not just possible but necessary. So when I joined Radical Statistics in the late 1970s, there were strong links with social campaigns, and they were reflected in RadStats working groups on health, on education, on nuclear arms, and on race. And it was their successors were they involved producing not academic papers, although that also sometimes happened, but public-facing analyses that explained the evidence that supported existing campaigns, whether it was to boost hospital funding or to debunk competitive school comparisons in exam league tables, or to expose military development. So my challenge to you all is to make space to do that now. And it only takes a couple of people to form a working group within RadStats and to work together to produce something that hasn't existed before. So let me see if I can just show you one example from now. Let me see. So here's a chart that shows really the way that the judicial system and its sentencing and judges' rulings have made protest a crime and much more severely punished than most people realise. I mean, it's a chart that's actually not very good because it's just based on one case of Just Stop Oil. It could be much better. So the question is, is there a role for people in radical statistics to perhaps investigate that and produce evidence that will stand up to scrutiny to show exactly what is happening within our judicial system and the state's repression of protest. Other examples might be on the arms to Israel and really clarifying the need for sanctions on that regime, or on housing need and the way that planning rules have changed over the last decades so that they now completely prioritise house developers' needs rather than the needs of people who need the housing. Okay, I'm going to leave it there and have a fabulous rest of the conference.